welcome back to another Axel 72 video, and it's a pleasure today to be joined by Harry Ashton. Harry, first of all, how are we?
I'm good, thank you, mate. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Like I say, it's a pleasure to have you on today, and I was lucky enough to be at your last show, and it's great to see that you're back putting on another big event in Derby, and you're here to talk about this today. But I did want to start off by just kind of asking a general question of why did you start promoting?
To be fair, I was working in Canada doing a boxing promoter over there with a guy called Lee Baxter. So did quite a few big shows really over there. We did like the first Canadian DAZN show. And then before moving back over to England, last show we did was for a world champion fight as well, world championship. So did quite a few big shows over there. And as at the time when I was still over there, my dad John, he just started back up with the boxing board, and it just seemed the right time to come on board, get a matchmaker's license as well, so I could do all the matches and stuff. So it just seemed like the right time, really.
Of course, and I suppose, what's it been like, of course, your brother promotes as well, your dad promotes, and what's it all like, that kind of family type business?
It's good. It is good. When always been involved in it from like a young kid. Dad's always been doing shows from as God as young as I can remember, really selling programs on the door to then getting a bit more involved in the before moving to Canada, then deciding in Canada, well, this is what I want to do and get into it big over there, and then coming back and making proper big steps myself by doing my matchmaking license to firmly get myself in it. But no, it's good. We all think it drives the rest of the family a bit crazy at times because as soon as all three of us in a room are only talking about boxing or football, and I think it gets on mum's nerves a little bit, but I think she's learned to live with it a little bit.
Mhm. No, it's of course, that's going to be the case. But, like I said, it's great to see. And I mean, I've had the privilege of being at one of your shows and one of your brother's shows as well. And they are high quality shows, even though they are classed as small hall. But for yourself, going from putting on these big events in Canada to kind of moving on to the more small hall domestic scene in Derby, how was that a change for you?
It was good. It was interesting as well. Like working with DAZN and then coming over here and kind of transitioning into the UK side of boxing compared to Canada. There's quite a few similarities, but also quite a lot of differences. So in that sense, it was interesting to see what you can bring in from what we learned over in Canada to bring it over here and try and improve our shows. So no, it worked out well. I think the experience in Canada, I mean, I was there for 2 years, and we did quite a lot of shows to be fair, and some big shows as well. So having that experience and bringing it into this kind of smaller shows just helps to elevate the shows over here and try and take them to the next level. And I mean, next year we've got some big plans to make the shows bigger and better. We've got some brilliant fights lined up for the summer guys as well. So hopefully 2025 should be a massive year for us, really.
Mhm. And that's something that I can't wait to see. And of course, you've got a plethora of fighters around at the moment, a lot of them mainly being out of the Jay Shinfield gym. And I suppose, what's that relationship always been like with you and him?
It's always been good. My dad obviously used to train at Shinfield. He was managed by them as well. So when he was boxing, he still got like his name up on the wall where he used to hang his hand wraps in there. And so it's always been like a good relationship as well. And then I mean, been going this and since I was a kid kind of thing. So it's always been a good relationship. But now it's working together and working well. Really, we're putting on some big shows. I mean, last year we had Liam Dring get the Commonwealth silver title at Master at Alfreton. Fraser Morgan fought Sean Bruce for the Midlands title. Not being biased, but I'm pretty sure a few people would say that's possibly Midlands title fight of the year. Really, that was a cracker. So no, it's going well. I mean, each lad's improving with each fight as well. So I think coming into next year, it's going to be an exciting year. It really is.
Mhm. And I've had the luxury to be at some quite big events, but also try and keep around the small hall kind of scene as well. And I will say that Fraser Morgan Sean Bruce fight probably was one of the most exciting ones I've ever seen live. And I suppose if you are to pick one fight that you've put on that you've made and everything like that to be your favourite, would that be it, or is there another standout contender?
I think for me personally, I'd say the Liam Dring one for the Commonwealth silver, matching that on almost 2 weeks' notice after the opponent fell out. It's kind of like, oh, it's a bit up in the air, and then managing to pull that together, and then obviously Liam winning the title was massive, but the Fraser Morgan and Sean Bruce fight was unbelievable. Honestly, 10 grueling rounds that was.
Mhm.
Beautiful fight.
Definitely, and like you say, there is often a lot of problems faced with small hall promoters, and it's not an easy business to be in. And I suppose for yourself, how have you been able to deal with these kind of difficult positions that you may have been put in?
I think it's really, I mean, you kind of expect it with boxing, don't you? Anything can happen at any time. I mean, even this last or this week coming now, you never know what's going to happen. So I think it's just expect the unexpected, and when it happens, there's it is what it is. You've got to kind of ride the wave and find a solution for it rather than dwelling on what's happened. That's the way I looked at it personally.
Mhm. It's a great mindset, and of course, got a show this weekend, Prospect 2 Problem Card, and Jake Morgan's the kind of main event fight, but it's got some great talent as well on it. And how excited are you, and what are fans to expect, do you believe, from this show?
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited. I think there's 5 good fights on there. Got Dave Hutton, Sam White in his second fight. Got Jack Mantell, who's God, he's always in a good fight. Jack Mantell is, so he's got a tough match there as well. And Jake Morgan also making a bit of a step up there as well since his last fight. I mean, Kieran's fought some good lads in there as well, so it's a bit of a step up for Jake. And also got Jack Bettany, who's undefeated from Stoke on there. So I think it's going to be a good show. I'm looking forward to it. I think the prospects problem name suits it really well, to be fair. So you got your prospects on there, you got you guys who are, if not already problems in the division, on the verge of becoming problems to anyone, and especially in the Midlands area, that division. So I think the name suits the show really well as well.
Mhm. I completely agree, and like you say, there are some good talent around the Midlands, and being from there myself, it's great to see. And I've been at various different small hall shows in the Midlands, but do you believe that there is a kind of undiscovered type talent around the Midlands, East Midlands especially?
I think there is a bit. I think at the moment as well, obviously the Midlands title fights, I think they are big fights, and I think when you get the right fight, it can really deliver. And obviously we saw that this year with Fraser Morgan and Sean Bruce, and that delivered. And I think when you got promoters willing to make the fights for the Midlands title, it does deliver. And I know that's something Carl Greaves works on as well, and he's always got some cracking Midlands title fights on. It's something we've done this year and look to do more next year, especially with the stable growing. It's definitely something, and there is a lot of talent in the Midlands as well. So you got your London and your Manchester, you always have talent in there, 'cause the massive cities. But when you look at the Midlands, there's a lot of decent sized cities in there who always are producing talented boxers.
Mhm. No, of course. And how much do you encourage fans to kind of get behind their own? Of course, sports like football, a lot of fans will always get behind their local team, but how important do you think it is to get behind your local fighters as well?
Massive. I think the sport, I mean, it can change a fighter's career really. Um, Especially when you look at some of the bigger cards that are on. I mean, look this weekend with Better Be Evan Bivol. Obviously when you got shows like that, and when you've also got the small horse shows, and you're still getting fighters selling 100, 150 tickets, that sport is massive for them, and it really does make a difference. Without the fans, I mean, you wouldn't be able to put the shows on essentially. So the sport's huge, and getting a city behind you, like I mean Jake Morgan already is getting all Derby behind him. And I think it's crucial for him really. Just having that support means we can keep putting on bigger and better shows, and that's what we plan to keep doing next year, is building the fighters fan base, and then it means we can put on these big events.
Mhm. And of course, you're talking about next year and how you're wanting to put on these big shows. And I suppose, what are your ambitions for promoting? How big do you believe it can go?
I mean, look, I think it's always I mean it's always a bit of an uphill battle into this kind of stuff. But I mean I'm 24 and I've got no plans of going anywhere. So I mean you look at likes of Bob Arum and he's in his 90s kind of thing. I mean you never know, do you really? But now I think just in the next year, we've already got 5 shows planned out off the top of my head, and got a rough idea of what fights we want to make to take the boxers to the next level. Like for Jake Morgan, got a rough idea of what kind of route he wants to take, what takes him to the next level. And then when he does get a shot at the titles, the Midlands, the so on, he's ready for them. And then it gives him a bit of a boost really when he's beating these guys who have been there or are still around there. And then when he's stepping in the ring for his title fight, he knows he's at that level.
And I mean, you've kind of answered this question through what you just said there, but when you are signing fighters, how important is it to kind of map out a bit of a plan for them? Of course, with boxing, you never really know what's going to happen, but give them, like I say, that kind of boost and that motivation to keep going through that plan being there set out for them.
I think it's really important. I think you can, without a plan, you can always just match a guy and say, oh yeah, we've got this guy. But without a plan, I feel like you're not really going in a direction of it. You keep getting them wins, but ultimately you want, well, the way I'd look at it is you want some wins and fights that they can build on, give them something a bit different. They've not faced, whether it be he's never faced Southpaw, let's put him in with a Southpaw, and then gets to a bigger stage and he's got a Southpaw in front of me. He's fought a Southpaw, do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like just, I think, building on the fights that they're having to make sure they are getting step ups after step up, to the point where they're ready for these shots.
Mhm. Indeed. And do you believe that, I suppose, fighters who come through these small hall kind of shows and then make it onto these big shows perhaps are able to give a bit more and be able to fight a bit more and dig a bit deeper than these fighters who are kind of given the big platform early on and kind of maybe spoon-fed easier fights and things like that?
I think, yeah, I think it depends on the fighter really. I mean, you look at some talent on some of the bigger shows and over there because of what they've done in their amateurs or so on and so forth. I mean, 3 of the guys who were fighting on our show on Saturday all came from EBF unlicensed boxing. But I mean, look at Fabio Wardley, he came from unlicensed, and look at what he's fighting Saturday. You know what I mean? So I think although does kind of matter a bit what kind of history you have, but at the end of the day, you're only yourself, aren't you? And if you're good enough, you're good enough at the end of the day.
Totally, and obviously, like you mentioned, that kind of white collar type fights. Sometimes it gets a bit of a bad reputation, but do you believe that it is overall important to have in the sport?
I do, yes. I think, being honest, I think it depends on the background of what white collar is. I mean, you get some that are a little bit questionable. When you look at the ones, for instance, my brother, I'm not just saying this because he's my brother, but his shows, I mean, the caliber of those shows is unbelievable. I mean, he had one at the end of August, Motor Point Arena, and the talent on that, there's lads who easily could turn pro and be very successful in pro, and you got ex-pros on there. And I think even just looking at the guys who have turned over from where from the EBF and license shows, there's a lot of good lads on there. I mean, this weekend we've got Jack Mantell, Dan Lewis, and Sam Whitehead. And then in the past, just thinking of other people, there's Joe Collins, Leanne Bush, Taylor Gregg, um, Joe Hughes, who fought on the fight week show for the last Riyadh season. So a lot of, I mean, I understand there's always a bit of a skeptical look at it, but I think it's when you look at the actual shows and the boxer, it speaks for itself.
No, 100%. And Harry, I really appreciate your time. I'm going to leave with this final question. Is there anything that you'd like to shout out or promote or anything like
No, I just think it's going to be a great show Saturday night. Thank you very much for all the fans who have brought tickets. Really looking forward to it, and I think the last show of the year for us should be. I think so far this year we've had, I mentioned it earlier, we've had two really big shows: the Arliston Hall one with Fraser and Sean Bruce, and then the Liam Dring one at Alfreton Leisure Centre was a massive show with some cracking fighters on. And then just going into next year, it's going to be bigger and better shows, looking to build on them so we can keep growing. And I think it's just important for the fans to get there Saturday and keep an eye on next year. It's going to be a big one.
Of course, and like I say, absolute pleasure speaking to you. Of course, it's unfortunate I won't be able to make it down to the event Saturday, but for anybody watching this, of course, you got to get behind your local fighters, local promotions as well. They're great events, always been put on, and a pleasure to be able to speak to you, of course. And yeah, thank you very much, Harry, and thank you very much for watching. Hope you did enjoy. Like the video if you didn't, need like video, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.